Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, we've got the blue and black strap tie on, we got the Lapis Lakeside music going on in the background, and that means that it is time for another Cressminster Raptor Den Poké show. Now this is the fourth one, we're doing this one for Mawile. I had lots of entrances. If you want to enter for the next one, make sure to join the community Discord. I'm planning on doing one for Farfetched. I'll be making the channel later tonight after recording this, so yep. That's going to be around, but this is showing off some of the community entrances for the Mawiles that you caught during the Packed Portions Cooking Week event. If you don't know what Cressminster is, basically I take all the submissions that was sent in to me over the Discord and just review all of them in a bulk quantity and then pick out a few particular winners. Ingredient specialists kind of get framed a little bit different way because I feel like there's kind of like 6 mini different variations of them with each one of the different ingredient lists. And Mawile, before I get into this, I kind of want to have a brief discussion about Mawile. Mawile is a weird Pokemon in that, typically speaking, we want to really consider the ingredient list on a Pokemon. Now, certain ingredient specialists specifically, Mawile is like very hyper focused on making green grass salad specifically between both its skill and its ingredient list. So you can kind of get away if you're like looking to make one that can make green grass salad and with supplementing from other things. You can kind of get away with almost any ingredient list. Now, some are better than others, some will get closer to the right proportions, and everyone does love the good old-fashioned mono ingredient list or the ABB lists for oil or corn focus, because it's just going to be more versatile. But I think that a Mawile, if you don't have something that can make a stronger meal than green grass salad, then it's got a very unique capability of hyper-focusing that meal specifically, and being able to cover a lot of the ingredients for it with a single Pokemon, I think, can be very powerful. So that's why I think that it's kind of unique in that almost every ingredient list, like almost every mixed list, I'll say, kind of does the same thing. It's really only the ABB and the mono lists that are doing unique things. So let's get right into it and see how it looks. So first, I want to show off some of the ABA Mawiles that the community submitted. Now, none of the ones that I'll be showing here are the notable mentions. I saved those for the end. That are just kind of the weird ones. None of them are the dishonorable mentions, and none of them are the best in show. So some of these are going to be decent Mawiles. Some of them are going to be ones that I would never really consider investing because they really don't have anything going for them. But none of them are horrendously bad until we get to a later section of the thing. But I'm not sure many of these would be worth all that much investment. So as far as the ABA, you guys sent in a lot of ABA options. I will say this. I'll move my face so you guys can actually see who submitted them. ABA was by far the #1 most submitted Mawile, and I think there's 2 reasons for that. One, it's one of the more common lists. Anything that's ABX is going to be a more common list than AAX, just because of the way the game is coded. If you don't know, the B ingredient in the second slot is twice as common as the A ingredient, so their double is likely to happen. Additionally, ABA, I feel like a lot of people just submitted it because a lot of people got them. There was a lot of mixed lists as well, but a lot of mono lists, and I feel like that's because you guys felt more like you wanted to submit the mono lists because it had a higher chance of doing well because a lot of people are looking for mono. But the way I format these Cressminsters, that's not actually necessarily the case, but you still like to show off the mono. But anyway, AAC and AAB have the least amount of entrances, and you will see that as we're going through this. But anyway, let's take a look at some of these. We got some speed here, some ingredient finding, but it's a bit too late. This one has a little bit of ingredient finding and a little bit of speed, but it's not, like, amazing. This might be decent. And then skill trigger on Mawile is kind of nice. It does help it do at what it's trying to do. But realistically, I think the skill's existence is enough to push it past where it wants to be with oil or corn or tomato production, you name it. So it really doesn't need extra triggers because it's boosting off a very low rate anyway. So while triggers are nice, they're not necessarily necessary. You still want to focus ingredients and speed. Some more of them. There was one in here with helping bonus and some speed, but it has nothing going for it in terms of triggers. Sorry, Miss Marple. But thank you to everybody who submitted. You can see that, like I said, these are all just kind of meh. This one's pretty good. Submitted by SPB314, but the ingredient finding M locking that ingredient finding S to not be subskill seedable. is a bit of a rough one. Just because this thing's not going to be great until level 75. And do you want to take an ABA option to level 75? That's a very good question. Consider your needs and what you want out of a Mawile. So yeah, really just a whole lot of mid. Like, this one really has nothing going for it at all. This one has Ingredient Finder, but Speed of Help down to counteract it a little bit. So just a whole lot of mid entrances. And there's nothing wrong with submitting mid entrances. I like having them. It gives me more things to think about as I'm going through them. It gives me more comparisons because we just get to see more things. Now, it doesn't mean don't invest in one of these. If you do need what a Mawile can offer, and the best one that you have is just a mediocre one, then by all means, it's a 16-pip Pokemon. Don't spend your day and night, well, I guess your nights, hunting a good 16-pip Pokemon. That's how you drive yourself insane. Now, this one was pretty solid in terms of it had ingredient finding and ingredients up, but you'll see that we did have some better entrances, or the best in show for ABA. There were so many entrances that the ABA best in show had to be a phenomenal one. So let's get on to AAC. Now, like I said, AAC had a few less submissions overall. And I think that's just because of the rarity of the list, as well as not being the hyped up mono. So this one was actually pretty decent if it weren't for the nature, bringing it back a little bit with Speed of Help down. And you just see, once again, kind of a whole lot of mid. This one's got like the right amount. It's got the Ingredient Finding S and Help Speed M, which would be pretty nice if you can sub-skill seed that Ingredient Finding S. There is a chance for it to misfire on the skill trigger, though. If you have enough seeds, maybe, but if you're free to play, I'd say don't worry about investing this guy at all, because an AAC Mawile isn't really that worth the investment anyway. At least not right now. You can maybe do some interesting things with, there's a salad that takes oil and tomatoes, but it's kind of a mid-tier salad other than the green grass I'm talking about earlier. It's like oil, tomatoes, and mushrooms. I think it's spore. Something like that. Spore something. I don't know. But it's interesting. This one's got help bonus, but it's a bit too late. And a lot of neutral natures in here as well. A lot of them have the decent combo of Helping Speed S and Ingredient Finding S, sub-skill seedable, which is always what I consider like the bare minimum for Ingredient Finder investment, is typically my thoughts. This one I did like because it had Ingredient Finder and the Helping bonus, which is even more valuable. But like I said, there's better options that I'll get to later. Now let's get to AAB. This was the other very not too many people submitted AAB as well. So I think we only had 9 entrances of AAB Mawile. Like 10 or something like that. And they were all, like I said, these ones just okay. This one had Berry Finding S, which is interesting, but in order for an ingredient specialist to get away with Berry Finding S, it needs to have ingredients as well. Berry Finding S is nice when it has it, but it needs to be good at what it's trying to do first and foremost, then berries can be second. Now, I did see some comments saying that, at least steel berries are strong. That's true, but if their base frequency isn't all that great, then it doesn't really matter if the berry's strong if they're not producing very many helps of berries anyway. So yeah. Ingredient Finding M, Help Speed S, Sub-Skill Seedable. Once again, decent combination. At level 75, this one's going to be really solid, but it's a bit too late for me to be worth considering for Best in Show. Helping Speed M and Helping Bonus. Once again, good combo, but no Ingredient Finding here to really boost that. And then for Corn Mawile, so this is ABB. This is where we're starting to break into the ones that a lot of the community would actually consider to be worth considering for the purposes of the meta, if you're looking at the mono meta. Because ABB is oftentimes considered a pseudo-mono option, being the level 60, you get it, you don't consider the A ingredient, you just consider it for its B option. And once again, I'm just clicking through all the more mid options. There were a decent amount of ABB submissions, because once again it had the B ingredient in the level 30 slot, so it's just much more common of a catch, literally twice as common. So I'll just click through these briefly. Lots of inventory in some of them. There were a lot of funny inventory ones this time around. Had inventory S and L here. Inventory S and M, eventually L. They wanted to have big pockets. Did I skip past one? Yes, I did. This one. Oh. Skill trigger, ingredient finding, some inventory. This one was pretty solid. But once again, you'll see better options that I came up for the best in show. So, ingredient finding and help speed M. Nothing else really going for it, but that's a good enough combo already. Like I said, I oftentimes consider ingredient finding M, help speed M is enough worth investment. If you're free to play though, I'd probably hold off the seeds and not consider on something this kind of mid. Now, full mixed. Now, this is a weird one, because once again, I wouldn't suggest investing in a full mixed Mawile unless you are trying to target the green grass salad, because it is one of your best salad options. Roll condensation, I think, has more value than a lot of players give it credit for. And Mawile is the king of doing that. Should I say the queen? So the full mixed spread is probably going to be the best at doing that. It might overproduce the tomatoes a little bit, but producing a little bit of all of it, as well as doing it with the skill, these are ones that might be able to do that. But these are, once again, the more mid options. Thank you to everyone that sent in a couple full mixed spreads. We added a lot of speed, some skill triggers. This one kind of thought it was a skill specialist, honestly. So did this one. Well, but this one didn't because it had skill chance down. This one's just confused. But yeah, the full mix list, there was a lot of people that sent them in. This one had ingredient finding M and help speed M. I'm pretty certain that's what that was. I had to run it through a Google Translator. I'm not good with French. I think it was French, if I remember correctly. I don't know very many other languages. Lots of skill triggers on this one, and the ingredient finding is also pretty nice, but it's also kind of confused. But it's okay at what it's doing. Once again, I kind of cut all the dishonorable ones because you'll see them later in the dishonorable mention section. All these ones are at least mid at best. They're mid at best and the bottom end of mid at worst. So, once again, thank you to everyone who submitted them. And now we get onto the full mono options, which there were quite a few submissions for. A lot of people would consider these to be the best ones, like meta relevance. I personally think that there is something to mixed lists. I respect and understand that mono lists do have strength and understand the points behind that. And I will never try to argue that a mixed list is stronger than a mono list. So this is probably the most reliable long-term investment. And the most reliable in a lot of players' consideration of the meta. But once again, these are all the mid options. So if you need an oil farmer, then maybe invest them if they have what you got. They can do something, kind of, but you should probably maybe hunt something else because you just kind of have a whole lot of mid if they're in this list. If this is the best that you caught for them. So this one had a lot of triggers, a little bit of ingredient finding. So you guys submitted a lot of Mawile. I will say that this was our largest. This was our largest Cressminster yet. It was the first one to break triple digits, and not only did it break triple digits, but it broke it by over 20. I don't remember the exact number. I think it was like 129 submissions. So that was pretty insane to see, and I'm glad to see more community interaction. These are getting to be fun to beat. But anyway, dishonorable mentions, the first fun ones to really get around to. These are the ones that are like a oof to catch, because they're just bad. Like, never invest these guys. These should just be candy almost right as they hit the box. The only reason why you should be happy to catch them is to get them mentioned in a video here. So I'm so sorry to the 4 of you that submitted these ones, because man, these are rough. Primarily from the ingredient finding down natures that all of them have. Some of them don't even have any ingredient finding or speed in the sub-skills. This one has helping bonus at least, and late ingredient finder, but with that, they're just fighting an uphill battle with that nature. The nature really is a killer on them. And we had 3 more here, so I'm so sorry to the 7 of you, except for it's not 7 of you, because I see that there are some duplicate names like Smouse. So I am sorry that you had to put up with that. Okay. Notable mentions. Now, these are the ones that I want to mention because I think they're fun for one reason or another. We always start this section off with the shinies. We had 3 shiny submissions, so congrats to you, Enderu, Uncle Haiti, and Iconic Mind Northeastern Standard Time. Uh, the three of you had shiny Mawiles. As far as the relevance of these ones, this one's an alright corn farmer. Not terrible. It's got decent stats for a corn farmer. This one's got ingredient finding, but unfortunately has ingredient finding down. So that it's kind of fighting that nature. I would not recommend investing in this one. It's a trophy and nothing more. As for the last one here, I mean, it's usable if you need the AAB spread. That's what I'd say. It has that combo of ingredient finding S and help speed S, and both are sub-skill seedable. So if you're a premium player and have the sub-skill seeds for that and want to use the shiny and can think of a way to use the AAB, you can even keep it under-leveled if you need it for the oil specifically and you don't want to ever unlock the corn. That's an option as well. Then those two shinies might be worth using for their more focused purpose. But yeah, otherwise, they're cool trophies to have because shiny on a 16-pip Pokemon is rare. Now, these ones are ones that I think are pretty solid. Not because they necessarily are amazing at what they're trying to do, but because they have Berry Finding S, which I like to think of Berry Finding S as minimizing opportunity cost. And that is really to say, an ingredient specialist job, the entire reasoning why you want the mono list or why you want high ingredient finding rate is because the longer you run the ingredient specialist, the less time you're running a berry finder, or the less time you're running another useful skill specialist. Well, if they have Berry Finding S, then it's kind of like they have two specialties in one, and even though it's not going to be as good as a dedicated berry finder, especially since your berry finder is probably going to have Berry Finding S, making them 1.5 times as effective, it's going to be 1.5 times as effective instead of being 3 times as effective. Having Berry Finding S on Ingredient Finder is decent because it minimizes the opportunity cost of running them in place of a berry finder. So these ones being all right at what they're doing with Help Speed S or Help Speed M, Ingredient Finding M, the combo that I was talking about that makes them usable with the Speed Up nature and Berry Finding S, makes this one a pretty nice AAC option. This one right here, ABA, having Ingredient Finding Up, sure, the Speed of Help down kind of sucks, but this is still a net positive for an Ingredient Finder. And once again, having that with the Berry Finding S, and then this one we don't have a speed up at all, but it's got ingredient finding up in the nature with no speed of help down. And this one's ABB. Once again, this one's probably the most meta relevant in most players' opinions, to have the corn double, the ABB option for long-term corn production. And once again, Berry Finding S is nice because that minimizes that opportunity cost of running it. It also compares pretty nicely with Steel Berry, with an extra helpful Pokemon or with a legendary of some sort, because a high value berry with Berry Finding S is going to be naturally valuable. And Steel is the second highest value berry in the game after Dragon. These ones are the ones that would have been amazing if their nature was just upside down. It's a little bit different than the Dishonorable ones from earlier because the Dishonorable ones were like, they're just bad. There's nothing going for them. But these ones had like the sub skills that would have made them alright or decent. But the nature just kills them and slaughters them. Some of them would be like really good too. I was looking at... or I guess it was if the nature was flipped, they'd be really good. Now, I still will vocally state that I personally am against the addition of mints. But I'd still recommend holding on to ones like this, just in case they ever do add mints. I don't want to see it added to the game personally, but a lot of players do, and I know that these devs kind of listen to their community, at least it feels that way. So I recommend holding them just in case. It's one spot in the box. But yeah, they could have been something, but the nature slaughtered them. This one, I find it funny because I think it wants a different job. It's got a speed of help up nature and a berry finding S. It heard that the call was for ingredients, and it showed up with berries. Additionally, we had another submission from... That one was from Iris the Great. This one from Milkman here. Heard that the call was ingredients and said that he's got skills, or that she's got skills, or whatever. This one is like an amazing skill specialist. And this one here is a decent berry specialist. But both of them have ingredient finding down, which make them just kind of forget what the actual goal of being a Mawile is, being an ingredient specialist actually is. So I think they're funny. I think they're funny examples, so I wanted to mention them. Now, time to finally get to the best in show. Each one of these are, I'm going to give one for each ingredient list, because I think that's the best way to go about doing it, with each ingredient list kind of doing its own thing. If yours is featured here, then after this video goes live, I'll be going through eventually, within the same day that the video goes live, and giving you all that submitted these ones a custom Discord role for ingredient Cressminster winners. So congrats to the first one, ABA, submitted by Nova Gnomes. This Mawile, it produces about 73 oil a day. I'm actually forgetting off the top of my head what the meta call right now is for oil. I'm going to double check this so I don't misspeak. As of today, the time making this video, the meta call for oil is 66. So this one, despite being an ABA option, produces 73.5 oil per day, with a bonus 4.3 from the skill. Now, that's something that we do kind of have to consider on Mawile. So add those two things together, that's like 77, almost 78, so that's exceeding the meta call. Despite being an ABA option, while also just producing 37 corn on the side to be used for potentially green grass salad, which is like two-thirds roughly of what you want to be making for that. So this one I think has a lot of potential as an ABA candidate. The next one, thank you to Kimber, whose in-game name is Persimmon. This Mawile is the best AAC that I found. Now, it doesn't quite meet the meta call for oil, unless you keep it under-leveled and don't ever unlock that C slot with the tomatoes, which is an option if you really need the oil. But 54 oil a day is still pretty significant. You can get a lot of coverage on that green grass salad. And as far as the meta call for tomatoes go right now, despite this only producing at C, it is a little bit behind the bar. It'd be 75 tomatoes is what we'd be looking for the hidden power perk of stew 3 times a day. This one's producing about 65, so about 10 tomatoes shy, but that's not that far off from being able to be supplemented or stockpiled with ease. If you want to be targeting that green grass salad, like we were talking about, this easily clears the tomato call for that. And you just need to stockpile a little bit of oil, because you'd be missing it by about 5 per day. So stockpile like 35 oil, maybe 40, just to be safe, and then you are plenty in the clear. This next one, best AAB, very similar in concept. Congrats to Trace for submitting this Mawile. It produces 58 oil, plus an extra 3 from the skill, so you're actually getting... I did the math wrong on the last one. I have to apologize. It wouldn't quite be 5. I don't know how much it'd be. It'd be 66 minus that. So like 9 to 15. That's better. Okay, now this one for real. Okay, 58 plus 3, like 61. This one would need like 5 to 10 extra oil. And then it makes a lot of the corn as well. Pulling in about 52 a day. The call for that green grass salad is 17 times 3, which I should have had this math prep beforehand. That's 51. So this one's actually making the call for green grass salad of 17 corn per meal, which is almost actually the meta call for any of the corn ingredients in the game. Only one per meal behind on tea time corn scones. So this one, very significant output. Give it some helping bonus stacks, because when I did this evaluation, I did it without good camp ticket, without any helping bonus stacks. Give it some helping bonus stacks, and it can probably produce that last little bit of corn. Now, the best mixed Mawile, this one's producing 51 tomatoes, which actually exceeds the call. The call for the tomatoes in that one meal is it's 14 per meal, which across 3 is 42, so it exceeds the amount of tomatoes needed, just without even considering the skill. It's nowhere near it on the oil, but it produces a little bit of oil on the side, with also some extra corn. Now, this one is not actually amazing for ingredient finding, but I decided to give it to this one for Trace again, actually. Trace had the best AAB and best ABC in show. So Trace would have to consider which one they're going to invest into. But realistically, this one, the reason why I like it so much is because of helping bonus. Now, typically on ingredient specialists, helping bonus doesn't really matter that much. But the way that an ABC ingredient specialist is going to play out is you're looking for a lot of coverage. You're probably going to be leaving on the team almost all the time to try and produce all the ingredients all at once to get as much potential of a spread as possible for that one meal. Now this one, having helping bonus, typically speaking on an ingredient specialist, if you're swapping it out as you do and do not need ingredients, helping bonus doesn't bring as much value because it's not sitting on the team to boost the rest of the team as often. This one, on the other hand, being an ABC mixed one that's targeting green grass salad, is probably going to be sitting there all the time, meaning the team gets that helping bonus consistently. Additionally, with an ingredient finding up nature and the help speed M, I couldn't not give it to it, even though it is a little bit weaker for the ingredients itself. Now this one, best corn Mawile, this one's insane. Ingredient finding M, ingredient finding S, ingredient finding up nature. I mean, it's got triple ingredients. And then a skill trigger M in there as well, just to boost that main skill a little bit. It's producing a lot of corn. It's 83 corn a day, roughly. And that's, if all these is assuming also main skill level 1, unless they have a sub-skill that boosts the main skill level. Because I figure you're not giving skill seeds to your ingredient specialists. But that well exceeds any of the corn meta calls right now in the game. And is... It doesn't necessarily compete with a Beware, a good Beware with a Mono list, or a good Dragonite with an ABB list will easily outperform this, but this one is going to meet the corn needs for quite a while, and it probably exceeds the productivity of most Comfey, if I had to guess. So, very solid for the corn production, and it may have a little bit of a niche also for making explosion popcorn, which, honestly, the ABA could also do that. Or AAB. I forgot that was a thing until just now. And then finally, the best oil Mawile submitted was by Everscone. I mean, it's kind of interesting. It doesn't look as impressive as the other ones that were shown off looks. But that's because the bar for mono options tends to be set a little bit lower because they are rarer. And a lot of people like the mono list. So... this one came out with some of the best productivity if you're able to sub-skill seed it. With the skill level up is also kind of nice. It doesn't really boost its productivity by that much, but even just having the double ingredient finding is very solid with the mono list if you can get it to level 60. Producing 103 oil a day. The meta call right now for oil is, like I said, 66. That could change. They could add more oil call recipes, but as of right now, this thing is well going to exceed your needs. And if you need an oil farmer, Everscone, then here's the one to invest into. You don't need to hunt a Luxray. You don't need to hunt a Krogunk. This guy has got you covered. So that is it for submissions. If you have enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Down in the description is a link to join the Discord. You can come join us, hang out, talk about all things Pokemon, sleep, and the like. And you can be around when we do the far-fetched Cressminster. That'll be up next. I've also got the join button. If you like what I'm doing here, feel free to click that join button. Show me some support that way. I give a huge thank you to all my members. I don't have any paid rewards for them, but the option's there if you just want to show your support. And as always, I thank you all for watching and hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.